Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV. Hope your Friday is off to a magnificent start. Let's see. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Boom. Hope your Friday's off to a magnificent start. So, yesterday, our show primarily focused on the Walker Howard news. And then later in the day on Thursday, we learned of comings and goings. So, we learned Xavier Carter, the defensive end, the edge from LSU, was hitting the transfer portal. And the reaction to that was like, well, it's a little disappointing, right? I mean, because you're losing depth there, but you brought in Braden Swinson from Oregon for that reason. You know, he's replacing B.J. Ojolari, and Deshaun Womack is a 5-star. Jackson Howard, another highly rated signee, coming in that can provide you depth there. Of course, if you absolutely have to, you can always move Harold Perkins back to the jack spot because he was phenomenal at that this year at a limited role. Legend, tackles for loss, and sacks. But then we got pretty much an understanding of why Xavier Carter entered the portal. And I'm trying to find his name so don't mess it up. LSU landed a transfer from Texas, an edge transfer from Texas named Ogie Ogofu. Ogie Ogofu, who will be a 6th-year player. He started his career at Notre Dame, signed with Brian Kelly at Notre Dame in 2018, redshirted in 18, played a good bit in 2019 and 2020, left Notre Dame, went to University of Texas. In 2021, he was an honorable mention Big 12 Defensive Newcomer of the Year. And then this past year started 12 of Texas's 13 games. 54 tackles, 8.5 for loss, 2.5 sacks. His numbers were very similar, actually, to B.J. Ojolari's. So you have a guy now coming in that is experienced, that's a veteran, that's played a ton of football, that knows Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly knows him. Their familiarity is very good. Obviously, Kelly knows what he wants in an edge player. And so the way I'd say it is this. I think you're better off here with... So B.J. Ojolari obviously is going pro. You have Braden Swinson, who's entering his 4th year, out of Oregon, who's played a ton. Ovi Ogofu, who's a 6th-year player who's played a ton at Notre Dame and at Texas, 6'3", 240. You've got those two guys who are veteran players that have played a ton. The other option would have been Xavier Carter, Desmond Little, guys who you signed but haven't really played at all. So, of course, you would have loved if B.J. Ojolari came back, but we all knew that wasn't realistic. But you are better with Swinson and Ogofu than you would have been with Little and Carter. So you've upgraded that jack spot. And, of course, you can always still play Harold Perkins there if you need to. So, and then you add on top of that guys like Deshaun Womack and Jackson Howard, who can fill that spot as well. So I think LSU's defense got better. And then J.K. Johnson, the cornerback out of Ohio State, they formally announced him as well. So LSU continues building brick by brick by brick, man. Looking good. All right, let's say some good mornings, y'all. Had a good night last night after the show. Drove over to Hammond, St. Thomas Aquinas baseball banquet. They asked me to MC it, so Was happy to do that. Jared Wrinkles, who's a morning Sconer, shout out. Got to meet him yesterday. So appreciate everybody who was there, who came out, and was very, very kind to me. So, okay. Let's say some good mornings. You know the drill. YouTube, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Jason Austin, Kelly Gross, Quentin Breakbill. Hey, Dad. Good morning. Thank you, Dad. Yes, today is Erica's and my wedding anniversary. 11 years married today. So, and Erica just called me before we started morning Scone, and she was out the house before I was up because she had to get to school early. And so I was like, happy anniversary. She goes, oh, yeah, happy anniversary. Can you bring me some shoes? I was like, okay. I thought you were calling me to say happy anniversary before I started morning Scone. Nope. Yeah, anyway. But thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. Dale Broussard, another 20-point victory for the Lady Tigers last night. Yeah, and Missouri's a team that can splash threes as well. So, Lady Tigers 17-0. Big one this weekend. Sunday, they're going to host Auburn, and they're going to unveil the Simone Augustus statue on Sunday. So, that should be a really cool day. Get some tickets if you haven't done so yet. Jason Horn, hashtag Shoe Gang. David Coslin, good morning. Chuck Sanchez, what's up, Chuck? Get it? Up, Chuck? Lost my spot. There we are. Let's see. Brant Roban, morning Scone. Why is everyone freaking out about Howard? Fans have only seen a snapshot of how we looked live and wasn't like a superstar. I think we'll be okay. Now, if Nuss leaves, I'm concerned. So who was that? It was Brant. So Brant, well, to answer your question, I don't know if it was rhetorical, but the reason that people are freaking out is because, number one, it's quarterback. Number two, it's a highly rated quarterback that we've all seen and known for a long time. And the hope was, okay, you'll be able to stockpile, sort of stash this 5-star, and another year or two, because he's so loyal to LSU, he'll be a veteran guy, and you're set up now for the next 5 years with Daniels, Nuss, Howard. But I think in your heart of hearts, you got to realize that was never going to happen. Like, you weren't going to have dudes that are that highly rated just sit for 3, 4, 5 years. Just don't happen. So, but I think the best way I've said it is, and heard it said, is if you just remove the names, right? Just remove the names and say, LSU's third string quarterback left. It's more palatable, right? I mean, you're returning your 5th-year senior starter who just helped you win the SEC West, and a backup who people are very high on. LSU's fine. Clark Tiger Davis, Dale Broussard, the girls leave early for the WNBA, or do we really have Angel Reese for 3 years? I'd have to go see if there are stories of players leaving early for the WNBA. Not that I can remember, Dale. I just don't know that the money is enough to warrant that. There's probably instances of it, but it's certainly not as common as you'd see in the NBA. But what I tell you is, if you're Angel Reese and you're at LSU and you have a chance to win a national championship or multiple, well, then you're building a legacy and a name that would last, because women's college basketball is higher profile than the WNBA. As odd as that may sound, but it's true. Like, people are more familiar with Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker for what they did at UConn and Tennessee, respectively, than anything they've done in the WNBA. I don't mean that to be a knock. It's just women's college basketball has been around longer, and it has grown a higher profile than the WNBA. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Reed Rule, happy Friday. Could Peyton bring Jeff Ireland with him for Arizona's open GM spot? Yep. As a matter of fact, I would probably anticipate that happening. I mean, Jeff Ireland's done a great job with the Saints as far as, personnel, scouting, development, all that sort of stuff. But you better believe all those guys are ambitious, and Jeff Ireland would want to be a GM again. So, yeah, I mean, I would anticipate that he'd probably be the favorite for that job, to be a GM with wherever Sean Payton goes. Trivia Carter, good morning. Matt Plavidal, good morning. Working my behind off at the post office. Yesterday sucked. Got drenched 30 minutes in. At least I dried out. Matt, are you delivering, or are you working at like one of the mail centers? I'm curious. Anyway, we appreciate all y'all do, man. I still say one of the best deals in the world. One of the best deals in the world for less than $1. Our post office will take a piece of mail, come to your house, pick it up, and bring it anywhere in the country for you for less than $1. That's one of the best deals ever. Good morning from Knoxville. All right, Armstrong, let's see. I can't wait for the series this year. Tennessee has the best starting rotation in the country going against our killers. Armstrong, I'm not so sure Tennessee's going to have the best rotation in the country. Tim Gotro, good morning. Jeff Hawk, what's going on, man? About to put North Mobile in my rearview mirror. Having lunch with my guy today. Looking forward to it, man. Drive safely. Keep me posted on progress. I'll text you later. Eric Wilder, morning, Matt. I didn't look at the LSU quarterback battles as who will start, but rather how much shorter Daniels Leach. Morning, Matt. I didn't look at the LSU quarterback battle as who will start, but rather how much shorter Daniels' leash might be if he turns in another Auburn-like first half. Do you think that's fair? No. Brian Kelly has told you Jaden Daniels is your starting quarterback. Last year, Cobble asked him about that, and he said, yeah, we don't see it that way. They didn't see Jaden as part of the problem with the offense last year. Did they want him to be more open at some points? Sure. But what many of you neglect or just completely don't care to mention, I'm not saying this to you specifically, Eric, the offensive line was atrocious for the first half of the season. Atrocious. Actually go back and watch the first half of the Auburn game. This is the thing that's lost. Because it's easy to go look at a box score. It's not easy to actually take the time to go back and watch the first half against Auburn. And Jaden Daniels was running for his bleeping life. And his ability to run is the thing that got you back in the game. Now, Baskerville had the strip sack for the score, but it was Ojulari who forced the fumble and Baskerville scored. But the defensive score kind of got you back in it. But what people forget is, you got another score right for half, and that was all Jaden Daniels with his feet. So, and then you kind of got the running game going in the second half. Like, I'm not telling you dude was flawless this year. Again, I'm not saying that. But what I'm telling you is too many fans have laid the blame for when the offense got stuck in the mud solely at the feet of Jaden Daniels. And I'm here to tell you that the way the coaching staff sees it, and I think you're right, is it wasn't just that guy. And without that guy, you wouldn't have been able to move the ball at all. Because you couldn't run it, you couldn't block for anybody, and his athletic ability and ability to improvise is why you even moved the ball at all in some of those games. Patrick Ramos, morning. What are your thoughts on Denbrock's aspirations? Does he want to be a head coach somewhere, or is he content to be an OC like Ensminger? I think most every coach would have that desire deep somewhere in their brain. So for Mike Denbrock, I'll tell you, and I don't mind saying this, but there were at least preliminary conversations when Luke Fickell left Cincinnati of Denbrock going back there as the head coach. And depending on who was going to get that job, him possibly going back as OC, I think he and his family really like Cincinnati. And it's not a knock on Baton Rouge at all. Obviously he's still here, right? So, but yes, I think that would have been an opportunity potentially for him to go be a head coach. I don't think he would leave for any head coaching job. Like, I don't think he would go take the Troy job just to be a head coach. You know what I mean? But look at Brent Venables. So Brent Venables was a career DC, and he was at Clemson, and he was a long time at Oklahoma, a long time at Clemson, and then the OU job came open, and that when your first job is Oklahoma, and Brent Venables, what, 50, 55? Brent Venables is 52. When he got his first head coaching job at 52. And Dan Brock is 50. He and Keller are about the same age. Dan Brock is 58. So, you know, I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I think it would really have to be the right job. YouTube, smash that like button if you would. Appreciate y'all for being there. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Guy Brooks, good morning, Matt. LSU women's basketball showed they could win with their two bigs in foul trouble in the first half. Taz, good morning. Listen to your take on Saints quarterback candidates with our defense. If Tom Brady did sign with us, the Saints would be a Super Bowl contender. You got to keep in mind also, Taz, the coach-quarterback pairing, I think, matters a lot there. You know, when Brady went to Tampa, you know, he was working with Bruce Arians. And I don't know that the opportunity to come to New Orleans with Pete Carmichael is the thing that would really wow him. And I don't know that if you're the Saints, you feel like you've got the offensive weapons in place. I guess my point is, if you're Tom Brady and you want to go somewhere to win a Super Bowl like next year, the Saints roster isn't the one. The 49ers are set up for it. The Dolphins are set up for it. There's a couple of spots where you can say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. New Orleans isn't one of them. Spurge, good morning. The transfer portal equals blitz chess. Let's see. Hunter Broadhead, good morning. Thank y'all for the anniversary wishes. Appreciate it. Austin Berneman, happy anniversary. Any update on Brandon Ingram? You know what? It's a good question, man. When I asked a week and a half ago, they thought they were going to have good news soon, and still don't have good news. So I thought at some point in this road trip they were going to get him back. And they're 2 games into a 5-game road swing. They play again tonight. Detroit tonight? Let me make sure I got that right. Tonight's Detroit. They play... Yes, start Detroit tonight. So 3rd game of 5-game road swing. I thought they were going to get him back in this road swing. So let's see if they can get him back soon. But I don't know. I'll see if we can find out today. Spurge, what's good? Gregory Gordy, good morning. Jason Mobile. Stars give up a goal with less than a second of the game. Losing OT. Islanders lose. Rough night for not for Colucci. So we lost, but I didn't even check. I was, like I said, I was at Hammond. So went right up to the show, had to drive to Hammond, did a banquet for St. Thomas Aquinas, and then drove back. So I didn't see anything last night. We did watch $1 Million Listing, however. Got home, put Drew to sleep, and watched $1 Million Listing LA. It's my one vice. Brian Wynn, good morning. Happy anniversary. Thank you so much. Jay Geiger, morning, Matt. What's your understanding of the NCAA saying recently they will crack down on the one-time transfer rule? So essentially what had been happening is you can, I'll give you an example. Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy was a 5-star receiver who, committed to Texas and then USC. He got out of his letter of intent. Ended up, after you're going, then transferring again, essentially, to Tennessee. He had to get a waiver. Well, he got the waiver. So essentially, the NCAA was just handing out hardship waivers for guys to be able to transfer. And a lot of that had to do with COVID and whatever. So what they're saying is, like, they're cutting off that process. They're not just going to give, like, blanket, and they weren't just blanket waivers, but you had to apply for it. But basically, everyone was getting the hardship waiver, and so players were able to transfer more than once and not have to sit out. And what they're saying is, we're not going to be so lax on giving the waiver for the second-time transfer. They're really going to hold to the transfer portal like the one-time, sort of transfer without a penalty rule. We'll see. Taz, why you never mention how great of a season LSU women's basketball team is having? I do. Taz, we had Kim Mulkey on AFR last Friday. I mean, they're fantastic. But I've done my job long enough to know what this audience cares about. And I say it all the time. I don't do the show for me. I do the show for the audience. It's what do you want to talk about and hear about. And I just know. I mean, by the way, Taz, LSU played a basketball game on Tuesday against Florida. On Wednesday's show, didn't mention a word about the game because you have the Walker Howard news and a couple of transfer news. There wasn't a lot of people interested, so I get it. But the more they win, and certainly, Taz, when you get to the postseason, more people will be interested. Man, I remember when those Lady Tiger teams went to 5 straight Final Fours. They were all the rage, man. People loved Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles and Tamika Johnson. And I remember all those teams, man. Aisha Smith. They were great, you know. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, listen, they're gonna keep building more and more and more and more. The more they win, and the more they win, the more we'll talk about them. Damon Perkins, good morning, Matt Plavidal. Matt, I'm a CCA, so city letter carrier. Got it. Okay. 2 years to become a career employee, hoping to get my own route. Okay. All right, dude. Very good. Very good. Best time is the cool weather. I believe it. Reed Rule, what's up? Recruiting 5-star quarterbacks. Is there an upside of going after high school quarterbacks anymore? Sure. Of course. You're always going to sign those guys. Because you may have a guy that waits a year or however. Look at Clemson with Kay Klubnik. You just expect the guy to come and try to win the job. Lynn Pat, good morning. Thank you so much. Gregory Gordy, any news on Emery coming back? Yes, by the way, thank you for the question. So I did ask around, and well, I'll tell you, I talked to Gordon's people because they offered him the NIL deal, and he signed it and made that announcement. And what I got from the folks with Gordon is their understanding is John Emery's coming back. So that's why they did the deal. So it's interesting because the week of the bowl game, I was talking to, let's just say, someone very close to the LSU staff. And I don't mind telling you this. I'm not like disclosing anything I shouldn't or telling names or anything, but their feeling was Emery was going to go pro, and they were looking at running backs in the portal. One of them was the kid from Miami. I don't remember his name. Let me see, Miami running back transfer. He's got a destination now, but guy's name was Jalen Knighton. Anyway, but then Emery popped up on his social media announcing he'd redone the deal with Gordon. And so I reached out to Gordon's folks, all the ones that handle the whole NIL program. And that's their understanding. He's come back. So I don't know if we've had anything official from John Emery. He's also not the most present on social media, right? But he certainly, you'll know for certain in a week, because next week is when the deadline comes for players to declare early for the draft. They're leaving. Trivia Carter, Travis, Bruce Hardwick, Hess. Let's see. We live and die by LSU football. Those Lady Tigers rock the hardwood floor. They do. They're doing awesome, man. And the more they win, the more people will continue to watch or to lock in. Carl Alexander, what's up, man? I hope Walker comes to DFW. I'll support him in Besh at TCU as a Louisiana born and bred fan. Got it, man. I could tell y'all, man, everybody in the world is calling him. Every program in the country is calling him. I had Ole Miss people calling me yesterday. Hey, man, any buzz on Walker Howard coming to Ole Miss? I'm like, I don't think so. Maybe. I guess anything's possible. Lane Kiffin. But. Jeremy Sagely, Jacob Falcon, good morning. John, Wesley Wagoner, morning, Matt. What quarterbacks are in the transfer portal to grab? You see, that's a that's a thing where you'd have to find a little bit of a um, rare situation where it's a guy in the portal who is who's got experience, more experience than you have now, but is maybe okay with sitting. Here's an example. Okay, Hank Bachmeier is the Boise State quarterback. He entered the portal back in September, is undecided. That's guy played a lot of football at Boise. You want to come and back up Jaden and Nuss and then maybe compete next year? Sam Heward from Washington. He's a redshirt freshman. So it's a guy who's been around college football for a couple of years already. He's in the portal. You willing to come and sit behind Jaden and try to win a job next year? Chance Nolan from Oregon State. So see, these are like big-time school quarterbacks that may not have a starting spot waiting for them. They could go down to maybe a G5 or FCS, start right away and play, or you can go Power 5 and maybe try to win a job at some point. Daniel Richardson. He's a third-year sophomore from Central Michigan. Connor Bazelak played in Missouri, transferred to Indiana. He's in the portal again. Guy like that who's been in the SEC, who's played football. I'm not telling you he's coming in to win a job, but I'm telling you need to add depth, talent. I mean, Jordan McLeod from Arizona, Dylan Hopkins from UAB. I mean, there's guys out there. If you want to add depth at that position, it's there for you. All right, smash that like button if you would, please. YouTube, Facebook, please subscribe up to the channel. YouTube, Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Jason Austin making it clear, as Sean Payton, Payton, has he made it clear he doesn't want to come back to New Orleans? It's just not Jason. It's just not an option, man, because the Saints have Dennis Allen. They're not firing Dennis Allen. So if I would tell you this, Jason, and I believe this firmly, if the Saints job were open, Sean Payton would come back and coach Saints. I think he still takes a great deal of pride and ownership in the organization that he helped build. But he wanted to disengage for a year. He did. He's going to jump back in. Sort of got himself a recharge. And the Saints job just didn't open. I'll tell you, you know what, Jason? I'll tell you, it's same as Nick Saban. Nick Saban, when he left the NFL, if the LSU job were open, he would have ached to come back to LSU. He's talked about this on the record. But LSU had a coach, so he took a great job. Jeff McKith and Sam Dixon, thank you very much. Charlie Cavell, what's going on? Teresa Michelle, good morning. Rachel Goff, final prediction. Casey or Ryan? I'll go Casey. The guy's got about 40 pounds on Moranto, probably a little scrappier. I don't think anybody's getting knocked out, though, man. Sheldon, Mark Fleming didn't DA pick Carr with the Raiders. He did. That when Dennis Allen was the coach of the Raiders, they drafted Derek Carr. That's another tie that would potentially bring him here. Okay, I got to get going. Man, there's some more I want to get to. My apologies that I haven't gotten to, but sorry if I missed y'all. Thank you for being here. As always, shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. You need an orthopedic, go to Brock. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hudco's pinned there in the chat. Love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Restored Motions, if you have pain, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Let Crystal Poche put her magic hands on you. She'll get you right. And ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Charging stations for EVs, home or commercial buildings. All right, y'all have an awesome day, and we'll see you for AFR3. Peace.